SOS.
This is a story that I haven't felt like I could say anything about until now. I really needed the couple of months to properly tell this story, to really think about it and reflect on what happened to me and my coworkers. So to set the scene, I was in Dallas for a newspaper convention with Jamie, my editor-in-chief, Jonathan, a reporter, and Mikayla, a layout editor. And we had been having a really good time because we were traveling with the college. We pretty much got to do whatever we wanted. Since all of us were over 18 and our own legal guardians, we didn't have to be chaperoned or anything. We got to walk around Dallas and do anything we wanted. And it was really fun. So one night, Jamie had a sports photography competition that had gone really late. He decided he wanted to go to a restaurant. Mikayla, Jonathan, and I had already eaten, but we figured we'd go with him because we didn't have anything better to do. Why not? But the closest Buffalo Wild Wings was about a 10-15 minute drive north of where our hotel was. So we just got in a taxi that was out front of the hotel. No big deal. So we get up there, no problems. We get an appetizer, Jamie eats, fine. But the Buffalo Wild Wings is starting to close as it was around 1 o'clock in the morning. So, okay, let's call another cab. Jonathan calls in the cab, no big deal. They say they'll be there soon. They've got somebody in the car with them right now, but they'll come to us as soon as they drop them off. It's a little chilly outside, so we decided to wait in the lobby of the restaurant rather than going and standing outside. So it's been about 15 minutes, it was a good little while. The taxi still hasn't come, but we do see a car pull in. We assume it's the taxi. So we all just run outside, and since Buffalo Wild Wings had already kind of been closed, as soon as we stepped outside, an employee came behind us and locked the door behind us. So we get outside, and the car that we thought was the taxi wasn't the taxi. So now we're stuck out there. I think it was about 50 degrees Fahrenheit. And for someone who's been living in Texas for the last 5 years, that's really cold to me. So we were all getting a little chilly, and we'd been out there for 30 more minutes. So we'd been waiting for a total of 45 minutes. And finally, the taxi guy calls up Jonathan and he's like, hey, this guy needs to be taken further than we thought, and this is the last run we're doing before all the taxis come in tonight. We're really sorry, man, but we're not going to be able to come pick you guys up. And that was kind of devastating. And it's at this point when I start to film.
Mikayla, please narrate the situation.
These damn boys decided to come to Buffalo Wild Wings.
All Jamie's idea.
No, I'm blaming you. And then decided that they don't want to take an Uber because you see, behind those trees and behind the building, the green building, our hotel's over there.
Yep, you can see it.
It's
It's madness. It's all madness.
it's an hour away walking, and it's 1 o'clock at night, and I'm exhausted, and I want to take a shower, and these boys don't know how to call a taxi.
They don't answer. This is why taxis are falling out of fashion.
This is why they're being taken over by Uber.
I'm not opposed to Uber.
You can split the fare.
God. This is how we die. If this is my last record of being on film, I wanted to know.
The only thing that really helped us is that there was this green building glowing in one direction, and we knew that building was directly across the street from our hotel. But as you can see, it was so far away. You could just barely see the top of the building over the trees in the distance. We had called a bunch of taxi companies. They were either their lines were busy or they just didn't answer. However, this is when things really started getting bad. Mikayla was becoming enraged. Like, she was so emotional. And I don't blame her. It was an incredibly stressful situation. Even I lost my cool at one point.
It's gonna be like, none of the cabs are
It's been 30 minutes. It's 62 degrees. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Actually 52 degrees.
Help me.
This is the end.
Please.
Well, you were
However, I was able to regain composure when I realized that this was a situation that needed to be filmed, and so I put my business pants on and I documented as much of the situation as I could. At one point, when we're still out front of the Buffalo Wild Wings, Jamie sees a taxi going in the opposite direction on the other side of the road.
Oh my god. There's a taxi across the street. Hurry.
We'll be
And he points at it immediately and goes, "There's a taxi, Mikayla, wave it down." And let me tell you, she ran for that taxi. She ran hard. But really it was to no avail. It moved. Naturally, the taxi drove faster than Mikayla could run, so. However, Jamie did remember seeing a cluster of clubs about a mile or like a mile and a half away from the Buffalo Wild Wings, and we all kind of thought, you know, clubs equals drunk people, which equals cabs to drive those drunk people home. And we were like, this is our best bet, let's just get there. You know, I tried my best to ask people like what their thoughts were, how they were feeling, just to kind of give an overall synopsis of what had been happening so far. And at one point I asked Jamie, who, as I mentioned earlier, was the editor-in-chief, my boss, someone I hoped to find solace in, to find guidance. And I don't really know how to describe his reaction, so I'll just play the clip.
Jamie, do you have an update for us on our situation?
It was really hard to see my leader, in a sense, be so speechless on our situation. The fact that he didn't know what to say about what we had gotten ourselves into. I was getting really worried, but I had to keep it in. I couldn't express how it made me feel because I was afraid. Sadly, Jonathan wasn't able to keep his composure as well as I was, as he began to say goodbyes to his friends and family.
If you're watching this, we probably didn't make it back, and I want you to know
Let's go
it's
swimming in the
Jamie's
creek.
fault.
Oh, look at that bridge.
But I fought valiantly
Legit.
for our survival.
We round a corner, and suddenly the green building becomes way more viewable. I got a good clip of it. You can still see that it's incredibly far away, but I could tell that we were making ground. Like, we could do it. Despite the building's growing proximity, Jonathan continued to remain delirious and confused. At one point, I think he forgot who he was. This clip, I think I didn't even know I was recording when I got this clip. I think I must have had my lens cap on because the video is completely black, but you can hear what Jonathan's saying. It's very short. There's only a small excerpt, but you have to hear it.
Never be a taxi when I grew up, but I challenged it. I defied all logic and reason. I grew tired, and now I'm on my way to becoming a taxi.
In case you didn't catch that, I'll play it for you one more time.
Never be a taxi when I grew up, but I challenged it. I defied all logic and reason. I grew tired, and now I'm on my way to becoming a taxi.
And just when we had thought that all hope was lost, that we would die on the streets, we heard the bass. We heard the bass of the clubs. We smelt the hormones of the alcohol-driven males and females. And we began to run. We got there as fast as we could, and we made it, and within seconds we found a taxi, and we got in that taxi, and we made it back to the hotel. We were exhausted. Mikayla was emotionally and physically and spiritually drained. She could barely get out of the taxi. She could barely get out of the taxi.
I'm so exhausted. At least Jamie paid for the taxi.
Possible odds. You made it back. I don't know how. JB certainly doesn't know how. It's a miracle. Triple H smiled on us today. The bright lights of WrestleMania. Got it.
Well, it was a tough night. But we made it. We made it. With our lives. Yeah, we did. How does it feel to be back with technology?
I just want to go to bed.
I made this video so if anyone else has gotten lost in Dallas, that they know that they are not alone. Honestly, without my coworkers and without the distant sounds of bodies rubbing together, I might not have made it out. Me and my friends would have died on those streets. But we survived. And I'm here to share my story. Okay guys, so I totally exaggerated a lot of that. Like, all that footage was real, and like, I honestly don't know what Jonathan was talking about when he said that he used to be a taxi cab.
Never be a taxi when I grew up, but I challenged it. I defied all logic and reason. I grew tired, and now I'm on my way to becoming a taxi.
Honestly, if at any point we felt like we were in trouble, we would have called an Uber despite the price. We would have called more taxis. At one point, a taxi drove past, and I memorized the number on the side of the taxi, and I was like, "Hey guys, just call this." But like, none of them cared enough to actually call it. They just rather walk. So, like, if we wanted out, we could have gotten out. We were just having fun, and due to the nature of the footage, I was like, man, this honestly kind of looks like we were gonna die out there. So I gotta do something with this, and so I did. I hope you really enjoy this.